Erik, you ready?
Let's go.
Hello and welcome to Off the Pitch. This is where Erik and I try to bring you the best stories from Indian football. And we'll go straight into it for today's guest. So if there's one manager, Erik, who's impressed you the most in the ISL, has to be that one man, this Spanish guy who took Hyderabad to new levels.
Well, he's taken Hyderabad to new levels, but he's going to change jobs now and go to FC Goa. And we're talking about Manolo Marquez, aren't we?
This is something that we prepare to do, and we'd like to welcome the Godfather of I think of the Indian Super League, I guess, and Manolo Marquez. Just the way he walks, there's a swagger, isn't it? Like he's got it. He's got it under control.
Extremely confident, and why not? He's done a lot in his couple of years he's been in India, and through difficult circumstances, it must be said as well. He's not had an easy time at the back end of Hyderabad FC, but somehow, you know, found a way to make it work.
Coach, you sent us this lovely picture from your playing days where you are marking somebody who looks very much like Lionel Messi, but is not Lionel Messi. Tell us about this picture. Tell us about your playing days.
I played 8 years in third division in Spain. Yes, I was okay, technically correct, very good in aerial game, brave, but slow and physically not enough to play in more category than this. No. Yes, this picture that I send you is when I play in third division in one team from Barcelona. Is Martinenc, the team, but was in the against Barcelona C, not B. And this player is Javi Moreno, one player who played now is training in here in one team who is Numancia, and he played in AC Milan.
Wow.
Yes, he was a good striker.
Would you ever sign yourself if you were coach right now and you saw yourself play?
No, 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 no. Bueno, if I want to fight for the relegation, yes, but I had good qualities, but not enough to play in a professional in ISL. No, no, for sure that I wouldn't sign Manolo Marquez for my team.
Yeah, I think you're being a bit harsh on yourself there, coach. I'm sure you played at a very decent level, but you know, with all good football managers, I think there's a bit of a correlation with, finishing your career quite early, your playing days. You know, what do you remember from your playing days, and obviously, up until you retired? What were all those playing days like for you?
The Wikipedia, no, they say, okay, 27 years old, finish my career, but it's not true because I played again in a very very small team, and I was coach and player in the same moment till 33, 34
Wow.
years old. But okay, it was a terrible level, very very bad level, and yes, and one thing that I try to explain to the when I speak in a conference is that it's very important that you play football. Okay, if you can play in the top level, better, but it's very important that you play football because when you are a coach in the future, you will find a lot of situations that you will remember that okay, when I was a player, no, more or less how you can manage the player, the dressing room, the situation. If you are in the bench, if you are in the starter, if you are out of the list, I think that is important, no? Because now a lot of young coaches very good in knowledge, but maybe some of them they need to learn uh, about experience that they didn't leave because they were not players. No, they are coaches very very early.
Yeah, and you did have a large part of your coaching and your playing career in Spain. There's so many Spanish coaches around the world, and it seems very friendly before the game, all hugs and kisses on the sidelines. But then, as soon as that whistle blows, everyone's at each other's throats. Just talk us through that competitiveness that the Spanish coaches have when they play against each other.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's true that we have usually we have good relationship between us before the game and even after the game. Uh, but it's true that when the game is there is the kickoff. Okay, we are not friends in that moment. We are defending our club, and I think that yes, we are uh, very competitive and with different style, because I think that more or less people abroad they think that okay, Spanish coaches always is like not this word that I don't like, the tiki taka, that
Mm-hmm.
but not all the Spanish play coaches. I think that when I arrived to in my first season in ISL, very different styles in Spanish coaches. Uh, but with success. No, Antonio Lopez is completely opposite than Sergio Lovera, and in that moment, because what was my first season, I think that there are a lot of different. But it's true, as you say, that or we are or they are very very competitive, because in Spain football is like a religion. No, it's like
Yeah. We'll move to the next picture, which kind of interests me quite a bit. The picture with the team, your first team, Manolo, the one where you're standing on the right,
yeah,
very
yeah,
evidently tall, and you have and you have these bunch of kids, and you mentioned that it was the first team you ever
yes.
coached. Tell us
In
about
in
that team, that moment. What was it like?
in this picture, I was 19, and the players now in this moment, these guys are 44, 45 years old. Yes, yeah,
Wow.
born in 77, 1977, and was my first experience is my school when I studied, uh, and was a wonderful experience. And I think that I learned a lot uh, every year in every categories. I think that when I speak about me, that I don't like to be arrogant, but I always say that I train in every category, but it's every category, you know,
Mm.
under 10, under 12. I don't know, because in India it's different.
Yeah.
The but yes, and I think that the most important in that moment is that you are like a god for these guys, because they are playing football for the first time in their lives, and was a very nice experience. And it's very important, don't forget where you started to train. I think that is this is the reason, for example, that I like to do training camps during the summer.
Right. Did you
Yeah.
win that game, the first game?
Win?
Yeah, did you win that game when you took
I
with
don't
those
know.
kids?
Im- Impossible if I that I remember the score, but uh, it's true that this team we finished second in the championship,
Wow.
but the championship I remember were only six teams, and you
Yeah.
play three or four times,
Right.
and we finish second. Yes, this I
Right.
remember this.
Right. When you said I'm not arrogant, for half a second I thought, Eric, I just thought he's going to say, but I'm the special one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. I just thought you were just going to say that. And I was like, oh, we are
Yeah,
on to gold. Anyway, Eric,
yeah,
you have anything
yeah.
about those early coaching days?
Yeah, I mean, in those early days, I'm sure they were really formative years as your coaching style progressed. But you missed out on promotion a couple of seasons in a row with Badalona, I believe, which is also where Dimas Delgado lives at the moment as well. For people that are not European or haven't faced relegation promotion situations before, can you tell us about those pressure moments that come in playing in those leagues that you've coached in?
Yes, I think that when you arrive to this level that you say is another thing, is another situation. For example, these teams, Badalona, the B team in Espanyol, the Prat, another team in third division that we play the first playoff in the history of this club to promote to second B, but we lost the promotion. But in that moment you are training. Bueno, in fact, I had to leave my work, my job, because in that moment I trained professional football. Then uh, uh, I studied public relations, and but finally I didn't work in this specialty. And finally I was working during 7 years in a football magazine, very famous in Spain. It is Don Balon. It's like I don't know. Well, it was still exists, but only in by internet, not in paper. No, and during my job, I was training kids, children, blah blah. And then, when, as you say, Eric, when I had to go to the next step, to the next level, when I train in second B, third division in Spain, then I had to leave uh, my job, and then I train in these categories, and I have very good memories.
Mhm.
I am very lucky because I train a lot of good players, very very good players that
Mhm.
now they are in top division in, for example, Erik Bailey now in Olympique Marseille,
Wow.
or I don't know, Paul Lopez, the goalkeeper in Marseille too, but
Mhm.
a lot of players. Joan Jordan, the center midfielder in Sevilla. Now I can tell that five players that I train in the B team in Las Palmas, they will play in La Liga next season because they promoted in
Yeah.
yes, in Badalona, that you say, I train Mariano, the center forward, Real Madrid,
Mhm.
and was in the youth team, but was a very good player, and he played with the main team. No, yes, a lot of experience, and I'm very satisfied about this and about the people that I know, because I was not a famous player, but I worked with a lot of famous coaches, that Quique Setién, Javier Aguirre, the Mexican, Juan Carlos
Mhm.
Valerón, Sergio, that now is the coach in Cádiz, with a lot of players that they they were very very good for my career as a coach. No, and yes, when you remember everything, you there are two things. One is, okay, fantastic, and the other thing is, maybe I am old now, too much
No, no.
experience, but still I have some years more.
Isn't this the
Uh,
prime, Manolo? Isn't it the prime age to be a coach? The age that you're in, isn't this when coaches peak?
I prefer younger, but I am 54 now, and I think that I am in a good moment for to be a coach. But yes, I think that I started late because I was a lot of years with the academy, with training uh, kids, and not kids, and youth teams, and yes, under 15, under 17, yes, and then I arrived in late to the professional football. 2010 was my
Right,
first season.
right, right. Coach, I'm just going to throw to a Nikhil Pujari interview now that we did, and where he talks about how you removed fear from his game. So basically, I asked him, what did Manolo Marquez add to your game and what did he take out of your game? Because it's not always about what you add to a player or to a coach or in any profession. Sometimes it's about taking out something.
मैं जब उनके पहले मैं बहुत सेफ खेलता था, मैं रिस्क नहीं लेता था, और वो पार्ट सब ट्रैक किया है कोच ने, बोल बोल के टाइम लगा है, ऐसा नहीं बोलूँगा फर्स्ट आया, फर्स्ट ट्रेनिंग सेशन या 1 ईयर में हो गया है, फर्स्ट ईयर भी इतना नहीं हुआ है, फर्स्ट ईयर मैं विंगर खेल रहा था तब भी, पर जब जब मैं विंग बैक में आया वो फियर हटाना वो सब कोच से ही ये हुआ है, जो बड़ा पार्ट प्ले करता है अब भी.
Nikhil was saying that you took out his fear. He was a fearful player. And this people know in the Indian football fraternity as well, that Nikhil Pujari wasn't able to touch heights because he was afraid of something, of mistakes, of taking a risk. How did you go about removing this fear from a player over 3 years to the effect that just a few weeks ago he came up with that remarkable assist against Lebanon? How did you make him a confident player?
Yeah, it's difficult to answer this question because every player is different. I think that you have to try to the best. How is the best performance behavior of every player? More or less, you know the qualities of every player. The character of every player is different. I think another favorite sentence is that one normal player with confidence is better than one very good player without. And finally, is about to remove the pressure. No, I think, for example, Nikhil Pujari is a player that is sometimes is not very strong in his head, but this is the case. No, if you say you can play perfectly, if, before me you played in the national team, I don't know how many times, then why? And I think that is true that is for him is better this position that right back than right winger, because he's strong, is he has a how is stamina, and he can play very good as a right back. Is fast, uh, good in duels. I think that is a good player. But if I have to tell you, I am very surprised with the pass to Chante the other day in the against I don't remember, Lebanon. No,
Lebanon.
was
Yeah.
yes.
That was a
Yes.
good one. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've answered my next question, Coach, but I'll ask it anyway. In terms of your understanding of players, you've nurtured young players and even elder players for that matter. But Gurmeet Mishra, Hitesh Rai, Yasir, even Severio, a foreigner, young foreigner. Did you have to really coach these guys a lot, or was it just about finding ways to motivate them in terms of their personality, or was it really about tactical awareness for some of these guys?
I'm very tiresome about tactical things. You can ask the players because I think that in this moment, maybe 20 years ago was different, but now in this moment in the modern football, is very, very, very important how to manage the group. And I think that now you have to manage the group outside and out and on and off the pitch. No? And with the 2 years in a bubble, off the pitch was very, very important because we spend a lot of time together. When people ask me about Hyderabad, I say uh, they are not teammates; they are friends. It's not only about the coach; it's about the staff. It's about the club was very nice in the beginning. At the end, we had a lot of difficulties, but finally, it's about if you want to learn or not. Sometimes it's about your head, about your mentality, that we speak a lot of times that the Indian mentality every time is better, but still there is a lot of that they can improve a lot in these situations, and that's all. And finally, I think that we are checking now how the Indian national team they are playing, and I think that will be even better in the future.
Right. Eric, you had some questions about Hyderabad, and I think
Mm,
Manolo has answered some of them. But are there
yeah.
any gaps that you want him to fill about at least the whole 3 year cycle and how everything happened?
I mean, it just looked so good from the outside looking in. And now we know, through the grapevine, some of the problems that were, being faced at Hyderabad, still being faced at Hyderabad. I think the first question I've got to ask is, did the club do enough to keep everybody together? And the second question was, how did you keep that group together mentally? You talked about being friends, but it must have took a lot more than that.
Yeah, I think that the continuity in one team, in a team, is very difficult in modern football because another thing for me, if it's for me, the agents wouldn't exist because they are changing the players every season, change the club, and I think that for a team is very important the continuity, and I think that Hyderabad was a clear example. This last competition, this last championship, sorry, for me was the most difficult because we have some financial problems and it's not easy. It's not easy to work in this way. Uh, I don't want to speak bad because it's impossible. I love this club and I will love all my life this club, but was it's very difficult to. This is more difficult that improve one player, no, to manage this kind of situation. But I think that they will solve the problem. I hope that they improve the situation. No?
Yeah. Yeah, coach, from off the pitch to just going back to your time with Hyderabad, and if you had to pick one tactical masterclass, something that you changed or something that you prepared for in a particular ISL game which went perfectly to plan, and the second one, if you want to think together, is what do you think was your biggest tactical mistake that you made over the last 3 years in the ISL?
I remember in my first season that against FC Goa we were winning 1-0, and in that moment Noguera, Alberto Noguera, entering the pitch, and then they were attacking all the time in the last 15 minutes. And I decided to play with two center forwards in that moment, Fran Sandaza and Aridane, and was a big mistake because uh, the space between the two strikers and the line of four midfielders were very big, and then Goa, that is a team that they like to manage the ball and to take the ball and play, and finally they scored two goals in the last 10 minutes. Then was my was my mistake. I think that game the coach. I think that I had a assistant coach very famous in Spain, very famous player, Juan Carlos Valerón. He played 20 years in La Liga. He told me that professional coaches lose more games than win
Mm.
Yeah.
because when you try to change during the game, sometimes is difficult. In the other side, I remember, I don't know if you will remember because was in the one game against ATK in my first season too that we were fighting for with FC Goa for to qualify for the playoff, and in that game was the if ATK win that game, they were champions. They won the shield,
Hmm.
and in the in the fourth minute, Sana received a fair red card, and we
That's right.
played during 86 plus injury time with 10 players, and we were winning 2-1 till the minute 92 in one corner that ATK uh, got to score the equalize the game, and we finally was 2-2, no, but
Mm.
I think that we play very good with a lot of order, with a very good mentality. I remember that game as a. I think that everyone in Hyderabad remember that game.
Eric, do you have anything to add to that? Do you want to move on to the famous Manolo Marquez and his famous anger, or do we stick to do we stick to the pitch?
Yeah, look, I'm just thinking out loud here in terms of what we've heard about Manolo Marquez in the last couple of years, and every team has a life cycle, and I think maybe you got to the end of that life cycle with Hyderabad. You stepped in now to FC Goa, but there's a lot of calls for you during that time to possibly take on the national team for India. Has that ever crossed your mind at all, or would you prefer to stay a club coach? Because they're quite different things, aren't they?
It's a very good question because it's true that you say no about. I have very good relationship, very good with Igor Stimach, and but when he told that after Asian Cup he would leave the national team, I was thinking, wow, I would like to train because I love the Indian players. I love or I like how can develop the development for me can be very good in the next years. Then they will play in January, and then I say, okay, no, I don't want to risk to wait till that moment and let's see because okay, I would
Mm.
like, but maybe they don't choose me, and yes, and then I think that I had this chance to train in FC Goa, and for me it's a very nice challenge. Let's see next season. But it's true that in the future I don't know if will be possible, but I would like to train in the national team.
Fantastic. You mentioned Goa, coach, and I'm just going to skip to another question that we had in set up for you. And what is it going to be like on the first day of preseason at Goa? But more importantly, what are you going to tell them? How do you start a coaching, like, if in any other job you go to the office and you meet somebody and the HR will tell you this is your job, sign some forms. But what is it like for a coach? What is a day one at the office like at a new club for you, and what do you have planned for Goa?
With my experience, I think that it's not a when I start in a club, it's not a special day. I think that okay, maybe I don't know, maybe my first game in India or my first game in La Liga in Spain or my yes, this was a special day, no. But when you have more or less this kind of experience, it's I don't know if easier is the correct word, but I think that I'm zero nervous, for example, for this first day, no, and I think that we have to be very confident that we will have a good season in FCGO because we have all the thi- all the things. Finally, you know that sometimes the details decide if you are third or fourth or second or fifth or champion. But I think that we will have a good squad and the season will be good in FC Goa.
Yeah, I mean, you've signed some really good players already. I'm sure there's a few more to come, Manolo. Just talk to me about what the centre back pairing is going to be like with O'Day and Sandesh. It seems like that's the best two defenders in the league that you've got there at the back for FC Goal this year.
Yes, it's true. We have, but not only O'Day and Sandesh. We have very good players. Even and for me, I know that he play as a left back most of the games, but Ivan is a good center back too. Uh, I think that yes, I agree that if I have to speak about the qualities of O'Day and Sandesh, I think that they are very good defenders. It's important. It's important that you can build from the back, and it's like when you speak about the goalkeeper. No, play very good with the
Mm.
feet and blah blah. Yes, but he saved the balls or not?
Yeah.
Then the center backs for me is the same. The first job for a center back is to defend very good, because usually the center forward of the opponent is one of the main players, and you need to have very good players in that position, and I think that we have very good players in not only in defense. I think that in every line of the team.
Manolo, I was speaking to somebody about you have this streak, and I think you recognize it as well. You have a mood, you have an anger that comes out. I spoke with Nikhil Pujari, some players. It's a famous anger that you have where you can stop talking to people, or you can actually go hard on people. Have there been episodes, if I want to go into your childhood, were you always easy to get angry? Did you get into too many fights when you were young? What were you like when you were young, uh, in terms of your attitude and temperament?
But in terms of football, you are speaking,
In
no?
terms of football, yeah. In terms of in terms of the famous Manolo Marquez mood, that when I went to ask for his number, Eric, he told me, "Not today. I'm in a bad mood." and then and then I
Sounds
said,
like
"Coach,
me.
that's exactly." I know. So what have you historically always had a mood? Have you always been easy to get angry?
When I was player, was the same, was similar. Uh, but it's true that I would like to control. In some moments, I would like to control more my emotions, but in some moments is very difficult. But in the other side, I have to tell you that maybe 5 or 10 minutes after the when we finish the game, I can recognize the good and the bad things. No, I recognize in my last game, I received the red card and was fair, because you cannot enter in the pitch to speak with the referee when he whistle. No, but okay. Everyone has his character, but finally the most important thing is when you finish the game. I think that I can speak with everyone.
And that is difficult to do. I've had a lot of managers before, and quite mixed in terms of their analysis and their feedback. I had a coach who's now the coach of Tottenham, Ange Postecoglou, and he would be a big one of not even talking about the game or reviewing the game until we'd come back for the first session after recovery and the day off. So, are you a type of coach that feels the same way, to not give feedback straight away because it's an emotion attached to that? Are you a big believer in giving feedback the next day or the next day at training, or is it immediate to the players?
No, next day. This is my experience was when I was younger. Really, I was very angry at the end of the game, and you speak with the players, and it's not the correct moment, because in that moment the players are not, they are in the same mood than you. They are angry
Mm.
because, or even if you win, it's not the moment to speak about the game. It's moment to celebrate, and that's all. But I think that, in my opinion, the feedback that we always we try to do with the players in the next training session
Mm.
is more important than the analysis of the opponent, and this kind of thing. I think that if you want to improve your team, the feedback of your team is the most important. In the half time, sometimes you are nervous, sometimes you are happy, sometimes you are angry, and I think that, for example, I like to start always with, okay, keep calm, drink water, and we can speak with some things that is not is impossible that you fight, or that is speak about the set pieces. Okay, set pieces. Okay, we did this. Okay, then after 2 3 minutes, then more or less you can speak about what is happening during the first half, and how you can improve some situations, and how you can
Well, we
damage the
spoke
opponent.
with Nikhil on your halftime team talks and what they're like, and this is what he had to say.
ये नहीं होगा कि गूजबम्स आने वाला है वो सुन के, और उसने दूसरे टीमों को नोट किया है कि ये लोग रिबाउंड में नहीं भाग रहे, रिबाउंड मिलेगा, और वैसे टीम ने स्कोर किया है, ये सेट पीस में ये जन एक्टिव नहीं है, मतलब पिन पॉइंट किया है एक एक प्लेयर्स को, वो भी अभी नाम तो नहीं लूंगा, ऐसे ऐसे प्लेयर्स को किया है जो कभी लगेगा नहीं कि ये लोग एक्टिव नहीं रहते, और वो सब यूज करके उसने स्कोर किया है सेट पीस में, क्योंकि हम लोग ने बहुत गोल स्कोर किया, बाट या हावी ने सब कुछ। तो सेट पीस में वो सब है, टैक्टिकली कौन सा प्लेयर स्विच ऑफ रहता है, बॉल ये साइड है वो साइड कौन स्विच ऑफ है, तो वैसे ही टॉक होता है। मतलब मोटिवेशन से ज्यादा वो रियलिटी पे रहता है।
So you're someone who focuses on the reality. And that's really good insight from Nikhil. Tell us about the picture with Pep Guardiola. What happens when a coach meets a coach? What do two coaches talk about?
It's very difficult to say this is the best coach because, yeah, you know, there are a lot of good coaches. But if I have to choose one, I think, in my opinion, Pep Guardiola in this moment for me, is the best coach. This was one moment that we finished in December 2018. The only thing that I can tell you about this picture, that day, is that I saw how Guardiola was training in the pitch, and I say, okay, it's impossible to train with this passion every second, trying to improve his player every second. It's like sometimes he's obsessed that with the improvement of the players, and you can see how Manchester City is playing in this moment. No?
That was lovely, coach. Anything else, Eric? Any questions?
No, I could go all night. That's yeah. It's great to have some flashbacks from you, coach, because it's always so serious when we get to speak to you. And yeah, from our point of view, it's just nice to speak to you about your life because it seems like you've had quite the journey so far and lots to come in India. And we wish you all the best with FC Goa this season. We can't wait to see you coach them.
So that was Manolo Marquez. And that was also the first episode of Off the Pitch. There will be many more to come. And thank you for tuning in. Until next time.